Today I'm going to teach you how to make a color wheel. You will need a cup of water, a paintbrush, red paint, blue, and yellow. These are very cheap acrylic paints. You will be painting this in your sketchbook on your next available open page. You will also want a piece of paper towel to wipe your brush on. When you use acrylic paints, you don't want your brush super wet because the acrylic paints are already wet. Starting with red, make a circle at the top of your page. Does not have to be a very big circle. Then rinse your brush very well. Rub off the extra water, and then we are going to paint a yellow circle, but make sure that you leave space between the two so that we can put another color there later. Finally, wash your brush and do some blue, creating sort of a triangle shape. So these are the primary colors. Primary colors are the three basic colors that you can use to make any other color. Now, a color wheel is a tool in which to mix colors or learn what colors make what. This color wheel is going to be very simple. We're going to have the primary colors, and then we're going to make secondary. So using red and yellow, we'll make another color. Always start with the lighter color, which is yellow in this case, and then just the tiniest bit of red. Just mix them together, and you'll notice they make orange. Orange has to go between red and yellow on the color wheel because that's what makes it. Rinse your brush really well. Dry it off a little bit. Make sure no color comes off. And start with yellow again because yellow is lighter in value than blue. And you need the tiniest speck of blue. I put too much, so I'm just going to rinse my brush a little first. I can always add more blue if I want to, but blue acrylic tends to be very strong. See, now this green I would say is maybe a little bit on the yellow side, so yeah, I'll add a little bit of blue. Make it a little bit darker of a green. As long as you have green in between your blue and yellow, your color wheel is still correct. Rinse your brush really well again. You don't want any blue in your brush when we mix the last color. This time start with red because red is a less strong color in the acrylic world, and the tiniest bit of blue. And you are going to mix them together and they will make a shade of purple. Now, depending on the type of paint and the chemicals made in it, it's going to make a different kind of purple. And I'm going to get more into that later. But for now, whatever purple yours makes will be just fine. Rinse your brush really well so it's ready for anything else you might want to paint today. And we're just going to take some time to label this. So you can use pencil, marker, pen, whatever you have. And we have the color wheel. Notice the color wheel makes a rainbow, well, almost a rainbow, because the rainbow ends in two purples, indigo and violet. But for this case, the primary colors are red, yellow, blue, and we made secondary colors, orange, green, and purple. Now you can mark this by putting a straight line to all of the primary colors. And then you could put a little dashed line to the secondary colors. And if you don't have time to label all this now, you can have time to do it later. All right, for now, just push this aside, let it dry. This was your practice color wheel. I'll talk about the project later, but first I want to show you a little bit about differences in paint. So these are watercolor paints. They're a very inexpensive kind of watercolor you can get from like Walmart. And I'm going to show you the difference in what the colors look like. So we have the red. It's very similar in color to the acrylic, just a little bit more transparent or watery. Yellow, very similar in color. I'll zoom in on these later. Blue, very similar in color, but just a little bit more watery. When you use watercolor, you want your brush wet because that's what makes the paints work. So now I'm going to mix them up again. I've got my yellow, just a dab of red, and I'm going to try and get a good medium yellow, orange. Then I'm going to rinse my brush really well. It's a lot easier to clean your brush of watercolors than it is acrylic. Start with yellow, tiny bit of of blue on there. That's almost exactly the same green, so that's pretty cool of an example to show. Now the purple's the interesting one. Different kinds of paint will make different kinds of purple. It's something in the blue that changes it. So I'm going to make my purple first using red. Just a tiny bit of blue. And I'll zoom in on this for you. Notice these two purples are very different. One of them is, the acrylic one tends to look a little bit more reddish brown, and the watercolor tends to be more of a true purple. Now, if you use the synthetic purple in the watercolor, that's going to be the closest to true purple that you can get. Here, I'll try to match this watercolor one mixed in value, so then you can see the difference. Now, acrylic paint. A lot of artists don't make their purple just because it is a harder color to get the chemicals to react right, so you just buy the purple. And here's an example of pretty much the cheapest acrylic paint possible in purple. Any one of these will be perfectly fine for your project. I just wanted to show you the difference because I've found throughout the years the purple secondary color is one of the hardest to get just right. All right, so for this project, I'd like you to think of a creative composition where you could show the color wheel in a different way, or I guess just more in a creative way. You have the rest of class to work on this.